title itself, it will depend on what good you're transacting in. Let's say you're transacting in crops, yeah? So, I want to buy 2 bags of maize. The passing of title is just, it's abstract, yeah? There's no paper, there's no documentation as to the passing of title. But let's say you want to purchase a car. The title will pass once the blue book, yeah, is changed from the name of the seller to the name of whoever's buying. We're looking at things such as, let's say you're transporting items overseas, yeah? So passing of title passes once you get what are known as bills of lading, which is essentially documentation detailing who owns which goods and in what quantities. So once those documents pass from seller to buyer, that's when title passes. Yeah? So we're essentially saying we're not looking at passing of property, we're looking at issues of ownership moving from seller to buyer, title of those goods moving from seller to buyer. We're also looking at the issue of risk. Yeah, so risk is exactly as it sounds. This is just responsibility of loss or damage or destruction of those goods. Yeah? So who will bear the responsibility? If something happens to this product, to this good, or to this item, who will be responsible for it? That's the risk. So when I'm saying property has passed from seller to buyer, it's not just the property or ownership or title that passes. Risk also passes to the buyer as well, meaning to say anything happens to that good once property has passed, it means risk has passed as well. Yeah, so you find that when we're looking at sale of goods, yeah, when we're looking at sale of goods, we've got essentially 2 parties, the buyer on this end, the seller on that end, goods somewhere else. What you have to keep in note of, or keep in mind, or keep track of is issues of property. Yeah. So you can find that there's the seller here, there's the buyer on the other end. So I'm here. Let's say I'm the buyer. The seller is in Kasungu. The goods are in Blantyre. You find that risk, title, ownership, these items, these rights might be passing from seller to buyer to third party. They might be moving around, whereas the goods themselves and the individuals involved are standing still, or they haven't changed anything. So what you have to take note of the things which are actually in movement or in motion continuously. The rights themselves, these unseen rights, these concepts, issues of risk, issues of time, these are the issues that you have to you have to be following. Not has the good been actually taken or delivered from the seller to the buyer, no, but the issue is has the title, has the property passed. Yeah, because I can own goods that I've bought from him, yet the goods are still with him. Yeah, that's possible, yes? So that's what I'm saying. It's important to keep track of these issues of property. Who has the property? Who has ownership? Who has title? Where's the risk located, or who's bearing the risk? And not exactly where are the goods. Yeah. So the issues are not of the goods themselves, but the bundle of rights in the goods. Yeah. That's what you have to keep track of. So another related item, when we're looking at passing of property, is the issue of delivery. Yeah, it's that issue of delivery. So in law, particularly commercial law, when we're looking at the issue of delivery, it's not just limited to physically transferring the product or the goods from seller or from one place to another. The issue of delivery goes back to the passing of time. Yeah, you are at law, you're able to have delivered goods once you pass the title. Yeah. So let's say she wants to buy the car from me. Yeah. She wants to buy a car from me. The car itself is the good. Yeah. I can be in use of the car as the seller, so she'll pay me the consideration amount or the price. I can be using the car, and I can go to road traffic to change the type in the blue book. Yeah. Once I change that type in the blue book, even though I'm using the car, I've delivered it to her. Delivery of the car has taken place. Yeah, the delivery of the goods has taken place because title was passed from myself to her, even though the good is still in my possession. I'm still using that car. But at law, it will be said that I delivered the car or the motor vehicle to her. So, as I was saying, it's important to take note of where the rights are, where's the title, where's the ownership, where's the risk. Has delivery happened, and not exactly where the goods. Yeah. So in this, let's say, scenario, the blue book can remain unchanged. I can pass her the car. She gives me the money. There's no delivery that has taken place there. Yeah. There's no delivery that has taken place because there's been no passing of time. I don't know if that makes sense. Or I've lost you. Does it make sense? Mr. Bank? No, I'm talking about. Doesn't make. What doesn't make sense?
I don't get it. I want somebody to clarify for me.
Another member of the class. Okay. Nominate someone else. Somebody who understands what you mean. When I talk about issues of delivery and the like. That's the back. So, what do you mean when you talk about delivery? Yeah. So let's just be more audible.
I go and change the ownership of the car, but the car is still with me, and she hasn't got it yet. Then we have to leave the car.
Does that make sense what she said? Let's maintain silence. You try explaining what do you mean by delivery of goods?
Delivery of goods is basically when an agreement has been made to sell and somebody buying the goods, and then if the title of the goods, like if I change the ownership of the goods into the buyer's name, then the good has been delivered because it's no longer in the seller's name.
Even if the good is physically in the possession of the seller. Yeah? So, what I'm essentially saying, yeah.
I have a question though.
Yes.
Okay, what if the car facing damage?
So that's a good question. That's what I'm saying. It's important to let's not have our mind on the car. Let's have our mind on where are the rights in the car. Yeah. If you're following what's happening to the car, you not get anywhere. You not understand what I'm trying to say here. The question is, let's keep our mind on the rights and not the goods. Yeah. So hence this discussion on passing of property. So I'm saying the property itself is a bundle of rights. Yeah? It's a bundle of rights. It's not just ownership, which is in property. We're looking at issues of size, we're looking at issues of risk, we're also looking at issues of delivery. Yeah? So we're saying, when you pass property and goods, you don't just pass the title, you pass the risk as well. And we've defined risk as the responsibility over loss, damage, or destruction of the goods. So I'm saying, in your question, yeah, you're saying, let's say, I'm the seller. Yeah, I'm the seller of the car. You want to buy it from me. I'm selling it for 5 million. You give me the 5 million. Yeah, the car is still with me, and the blue book is still in my name. If that car gets damaged, my insurer will bear the risk. In other words, the seller, myself, I'll bear that risk because property hasn't passed. Yeah, and you have a right to reclaim that money that you gave me. So, in other words, if you pay me the consideration amount of the price, you pay me the 5 million, I hand you the car, blue book is still in my name, who bears the risk? If that car gets damaged, it gets burnt or it gets destroyed, who bears the risk? Why?
I think it's there because the group is still here.
Yeah. As I said, do not mind what's happening with the car. Do not look at what's going on with the object if it's changing hands. If you're looking at where that object is going, you just get confused. The issue is where is the property, not where is the good. Yeah? So the question you should always ask is who has the property, not who has the good. Whoever has the good, or whoever has the physical possession of the good, isn't really relevant, yeah? It's 90% who has property, 10% who has physical possession of the good. Yeah? So if property hasn't passed, it means everything, all those rights are still in the seller. So it doesn't matter if the buyer has actually taken the good, but if property hasn't passed, that's why if I give you, let's say I give you that car, you haven't paid me, and let's say I've changed, let's say, title to that car, but price hasn't been remitted to myself. You bear the buyer will be the one to bear the risk because the title has passed. But I'll have a right to claim damages from the buyer for breach of contract because they hasn't paid me yet for my consideration amount. Yeah? So I'm saying it's not important to look at what's happening to the vehicle, but rather has property passed. That should always be the question. It shouldn't be whether the thing has changed hands or not. It should be whether property has been transferred. I wonder if that makes sense. Yeah? So we should always be looking at the rights and not the object. Yeah? It should always be the rights and not the object. So it should always be a matter of has ownership passed, has title been passed, has delivery taken place. Yeah? So those has price been paid. So those are the issues you should be looking at when you're analyzing a sale of goods contract, and not necessarily whether the thing has changed hands. As I give that example, I might be here in Lilongwe, the seller or the buyer might be in Kasungu, the goods might be in Blantyre. The property, things such as title, the risk, delivery, might all be moving around, even though we're all in the same place, or we're all static or stationary, we're not moving. But the important things, the ones that are moving. Property has passed, the goods have been delivered, risk has also passed, price has been paid, transfer of ownership has taken place, even though I'm still here, the seller or buyer is somewhere else and the goods are somewhere else, nothing has moved. But in law, it's considered that the sale of goods has been effected there. It's just a matter of whoever is the new owner actually now just go and get the goods from wherever they are. Yeah? But as I'm saying, the important thing is, where are the rights? That's what you should be able to pinpoint, where are the rights, and not where the goods are. Yeah? So, I hope it's clear there on these issues of delivery, passing of risk, yeah, issues of price, ownership, and such. Alright, is that clear? Yeah, so from there we can also look at a related concept, which is also under the passing of property. We'll look at what is known as the what is known as the Nimrodad rule. Yeah. So this is Latin for, rather this is a Latin phrase. The full phrase is so this is Latin, Nimrodad quod non habet, which essentially means no one may give what they do not have, what they do not possess. Yeah, and this is important in the sale of goods contracts, because we're essentially saying a seller cannot pass a title in goods to the buyer, yet he or she herself does not have any valid title to the goods. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah? So you can only pass or give something that you have. So we're essentially saying you can't sell something you don't own. Yeah, if you don't have any ownership of the good, you can't sell it. You can't pass good title. That's what is known as the we just call it the Nimrodad rule. Yeah, meaning to say no one may give or may pass better titles than what he or she himself has, or you can't give what you don't have. Yeah, so you can only pass title to goods if you yourself have that title. Yeah, if you don't have the title, you can't say I'm going to sell a laptop. Right? Yet it's not even mine. That's theft. Yeah, it's theft or conversion. Yeah, at the very least. So you can only transact or pass title in something that you have. Yeah, this is a very straightforward thing, but it has serious implications. Yeah? So you can only pass title in goods or in something in which you have title or you had it title yourself. Yeah. So this is important in the passing of property, to say that first and foremost you have to see or scrutinize or find out, is this individual who's selling me this piece of land, this TV, these bags of meat, this box of matches, this laptop, do you even have the title of the goods to sell? Yeah, so that's the Nimrodad rule. You can only pass valid title to something in which you yourself actually do have ownership or property in. I don't know if that's a very straightforward rule, yeah? You can only pass title to something in which you yourself actually have valid title. So from here we have to look at when exactly, now is the question, when exactly does property in a good pass? Yeah, that's the next question that we will try to answer. Yeah, so we're looking at what point in time will ownership or title move or change hands from seller to the buyer. Yeah, so that's we have to try to point at when exactly in time that will take place. So So you bear with me, these are lengthy rules. These will be some lengthy rules, so let's just try to keep focused, yeah? So section 20 of the Sale of Goods Act provides us to when property or title in goods will pass. And of course, this will depend on the class or the type of good itself. Yeah. So we'll start by looking at when property or title in specific and existing goods takes place. Yeah. So the Sale of Goods Act outlines that these five rules for determining when property in goods shall pass, depending on the type of good itself. So we'll start with the first rule for passing of title. So this is in relation to as I've said, passing of title or when title will pass will depend on the type of good, yeah? So we'll start looking at specific goods. Yeah, so rule 1 as to when title in specific goods passes. We're saying it provides that so let's listen. Where there is an unconditional contract of sale of specific goods in a deliverable state, the property in the goods passes to the buyer when the contract is made. Yeah. So I'll take that up again. Where there is an unconditional contract of sale of specific goods in a deliverable state, the property in the goods passes to the buyer when the contract is made, yeah, and it's immaterial the time of payment or delivery, whether they're postponed or not. So we're essentially saying, so there are key words there that you have to look out for. So we're essentially saying, if it's an unconditional contract of sale for specific goods, unconditional contract for sale meaning to say you can't revoke it. We've already maybe signed off to it, we've executed it, we've already agreed. We've agreed that we're going ahead, and anybody rescinding their word or going back on their word has essentially breached that contract, yeah? That's what we're saying, it's an unconditional contract for sale. So it's not conditional that if something happens, no, we're saying you've got 10 bags of maize, I want those 10 bags of maize, I'll pay you so much for those 10 bags of maize, yes. That's an unconditional contract of sale for specific goods, yeah? So we're saying once that agreement, yeah, that offer has been made, the acceptance has been given, that's when property in those specific goods passes at the time of making the contract, irregardless of time of payment or delivery, yeah? So we're saying, let's say you have goods in a warehouse, but you've agreed that the buyer will pay so much for this, and the seller has accepted that offer. The minute the seller accepts, that's when property in those goods passes. Meaning to say, once that contract has been made, and let's say the goods are burnt up in the warehouse, it will be the buyer who will be responsible for that fire or for that loss, not the seller, because the contract has already been made. It's just a matter of the buyer giving the seller the money. So it's regardless of the fact that the maize or the products in the warehouse are burnt out, that risk is on the buyer and his or her insurer. But the seller will still be entitled to his money or her money for those products or for those goods in the warehouse, because property has already passed at the time of making that contract. Yeah. In spite of the fact that the buyer hasn't actually even gone to get the goods, or the seller hasn't received his or her money or consideration sum or amount or price, yeah? I don't know if that first rule is clear. Okay, so we're saying we're looking at the passing of time. When does ownership in goods pass? So remember, when we're looking at passing of title, we're not just looking at the title itself or ownership, we're also looking at issues of risk and the like, yeah? So we're saying, when does it pass? So we're saying it will depend on the type of goods or the class of goods, yeah? So we'll first of all look at specific goods. When does title in specific goods pass? So we're saying there are several rules regarding this. So the first rule is that if it's an unconditional contract, yeah, for the sale of specific goods, unconditional meaning to say you can't revoke it. You and I have agreed that I'll give you 2 boxes of pencil markers for let's say 50,000, yeah? You've agreed. The minute that happens, that's when property passes from myself to you. So if anything, let's say those 2 boxes of pencil markers, yeah, are in my house. I haven't given them to you, but we've agreed that, yeah, you pay me 50,000 for those 2 boxes of pencil markers. Yes. When will you pay? I'll pay tomorrow at lunch. Okay. Let's say thieves come, they steal those pencil markers from my house. You still owe me the 50,000. The fact that the pencil markers have been stolen isn't my concern because property has passed. I wonder if that makes sense. Yeah? That's what we're saying, that if it's an unconditional contract for sale of specific goods, an unconditional contract for sale of goods essentially means that once you just agree, the contract is in effect. It doesn't matter that you haven't exchanged money or the goods haven't been exchanged, but you've signed off on the thing. So it could be in writing, it could be oral, but once that agreement has been made, you can't go back on that agreement. It's just a matter of me fulfilling my side of the contract, you fulfilling yours, yeah? So ownership has changed hands. It's just a matter of you collecting the goods, yeah, and me receiving my money. So whatever happens to those goods, they're essentially yours now. It's just a matter of when you're going to collect, and it's a matter of when I'm going to receive my money. But those goods are now yours. You can go, you can take them, you can throw them around, you can break them, you can burn them. They're your goods, even though I haven't received my money yet, and even though you haven't gotten in possession of them. So we're saying, in an unconditional contract for sale of goods, property will pass at the time that contract is made, or once offer and acceptance have taken place. Yeah? So once that happens, ownership passes, regardless of the fact that payment hasn't been made and physical delivery hasn't taken place. Yeah? Ownership has changed hands. The buyer will be responsible. Yeah? Risk will be responsible for risk, ownership whatsoever. Yeah? Meaning to say, let's say I'm selling those 2 boxes, yeah, of pencil markers. They're at my house. We've agreed that you get them for 50,000, yeah. We've made that contract. We finalized. Those are your goods, yeah. You could actually go to say, I've got a box of 2 boxes of pencil markers that I'm selling for 100,000. For the both of them. So you can actually sell those goods even though you haven't even gotten them from me. I don't know if you understand, if that's making sense, yeah? So as I've said, what's important is keep track of where the rights are, not where the goods are. For instance, in this case, yeah, you can sell those pencil markers to him. Yeah, you can sell those pencil markers to him. It will be valid. Meaning to say, in this space of, let's say, 24 hours, whereby the pencil markers were at my house, nobody touched them, but ownership has changed from me to you to him. Yet the 2 boxes haven't been moved or anything. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That do not have your mind on where the goods are, but where the property is. Yeah, or where the rights are. Yeah, so we're saying. That that's the first rule. Yeah, with regards to specific goods, property will pass at the time of actually making that that contract. I don't know if it's clear in that one. Is it clear?
Yes.
Is it clear? Why are you having difficulties understanding one? Where is the misunderstanding coming in?
So again, then somebody has to just has to consider where the rights are not the property related, like good.
You have to consider where the rights are, not the physical goods. Yes. So have you gotten this first rule? Yeah, we're essentially saying once those two parties agree to conduct their business or conduct that sale, or that transfer, at that point, be it if it's a written contract, the minute you just sign off on it, property has passed. The minute you just say yes, it's okay, property has passed. It's now your good property is now with you. Whatever happens to those goods, inform on yourself, because risk has also passed. Yeah, I wonder if it's clear there. So that's rule one with regards to specific goods. And now we go to
Is there any phrase they use, like rule number one is to not do that?
is there no
Any phrase, statement that they use?
yes, so that's what I'm saying, that all these rules with regards to passing of title are under Section 20 of the Sale of Goods Act. Yeah, remember at the start of the lesson I said the Sale of Goods Act is the chief statute. Yeah, so everything we're discussing about here you find in this act. Yeah, so you go to that act, you find these definitions we talked about. All these rules are talking about. I'm just avoiding actually mentioning that. So according to Section 2, this is what it says. Section 3 says this. Section 4 says this. I just wanted to have an organic flow. Yeah. But all of these things we're discussing, you find under the Sale of Goods Act. So under the Sale of Goods Act, Section 20, the actual phrasing of the rule is what I read out at the start. That the rule, according to the Sale of Goods Act, says that where there is an unconditional contract for the sale of goods, sale of specific goods, in a deliverable state, the property in the goods passes to the buyer when the contract is made, and it is immaterial whether the time of payment or the time of delivery or both be postponed. So that's the whole rule. There's no short phrasing it. That's the whole rule. Because there are several things that are looking at there. So that's the whole rule in its entirety. And you can find it in the Sale of Goods Act. I believe I also sent you the notes already for this, yeah? Yeah, so you can also have recourse to those notes. These rules will be outlined in our rules notes, yeah? And another important part of that first rule, we're saying the goods have to be in a deliverable state as well, yeah? Meaning to say, if it's a matter of processing the goods, they have to be processed. If it's a matter of packaging them, they have to be packaged. In other words, they have to be ready to be sent to wherever it is they have to be sent, yeah? That's what we mean by in a deliverable state. Meaning to say, if the seller, the buyer says, I want them at such a place by such a date, the seller can facilitate that because they're already in a deliverable state, packaged, and ready to be moved around, transported around. Yeah. So I think it's clear here on rule 1, on passing of property. I will go to the second rule with regards to passing of property in specific goods. We're saying the second rule states that where there is a contract for the sale of specific goods and the seller is bound to do something to the goods for the purposes of putting them into a deliverable state, the property does not pass until the thing is done and the buyer has noticed that it has been done. Yeah, so I'll take that up again. Where there is a contract for the sale of specific goods and the seller is bound by that contract to do something to the goods for purposes or for the intention of putting them into a deliverable stage, the property in the goods does not pass until that thing has been done and the buyer has notice of the thing. So we're essentially saying that, okay, I can have, let's say, a contract, yeah? So let's have your attention, yeah? We're looking at the second rule containing passing of title to specific goods. We're saying that while there is a contract for the sale of specific goods and the seller of those specific goods is bound by the contract to do something to the goods for the purposes of putting them in a deliverable stage, the title will only pass once that thing has been done and the buyer has notice of that thing. Yeah? So what we're essentially saying is, let me give an example of, let's say you want to buy, say 10 bags of soya, yeah? 10 bags of soya, those are specific goods, yeah? They've been specified. You want 10 bags of soya, you state the seed or the type of soya you like, but you've specified that these are the goods I would like to purchase, yeah? But the soya is just, let's say it's in a mill, it's in storage. It hasn't been packaged yet, yeah? It hasn't been packaged, it hasn't been graded, yeah? So, effectively, you can't have those 10 bags of maize until they've been packed, So I say, goods, property in those goods, they only pass once you do what you're supposed to do to put them in that deliverable stage. And in this case, what you're supposed to do is you have to grade them and then you have to package. Yeah. Once you do that and you package and you notify the buyer that such and such has been done, you can actually come and get your product. That's when the title shall pass. Yeah. So I'm saying if it's a contract for sale of specific goods in which the goods are not in a deliverable state yet, but the seller is supposed to put them in a deliverable state, he has an obligation to put them in a deliverable state. Once the seller does that and he notifies the buyer, that's when probably those goods shall pass. Yeah? Meaning to say it will not pass at the time of making the contract, it won't pass at the point of offer and acceptance, it will pass once the goods are in a deliverable state, or once the buyer can actually say, I can actually come to collect these goods, yeah? So that's when property in those goods shall pass, according to Rule 2. I don't know if it's clear, yeah? It's straightforward rule, yeah? I don't know if it's clear, the rest of the class. Is it clear? Would you put it in your own words? According to Rule 2, when there's property in a good path,
I was asking my name.
so, what were you saying when I said? I would like to assist our colleagues as to when property passes according to Rule 2, when property in goods passes. When does property in goods pass according to Rule 2?
The only passage there is
And the buyer has noticed.
yeah.
So it's two things. Seller has to put them in a deliverable state, seller has to notify the buyer. Yeah? So according to Rule 2, goods have to be put in the deliverable state and the buyer also has to have notice. So once those two things have been done, that's when title passes. That's when risk passes. Yeah? Is it clear at the corner? Is it clear to the rest of the class? Yeah? When property passes according to Rule 2. So we'll now move on to Rule 3. As to when property in specific goods passes. So according to Rule 3, so let's listen to what Rule 3 has to say. States that where there is a contract for the sale of specific goods in a deliverable state, but the seller is bound by the contract to weigh, measure, test, or do some other act or thing with reference to the goods for the purpose of ascertaining the price, the property does not pass until the act or thing is done and the buyer again has noticed that it has been done. Yeah? So I'll take it up again. Where there is a contract for sale of specific goods in a deliverable state, but the seller is bound to either weigh, measure, test, or do some other act or thing with reference or in relation to those goods for the purposes of ascertaining the price. The property does not pass until that act or thing is done and the buyer has noticed. Yeah? So we're saying, just like in Rule 2, in Rule 2 it was once the goods have been put in a deliverable state and the buyer has noticed, that's when property passes. Yeah? But here we're saying that the goods are already in a deliverable state, but we don't know what the price of the goods is. Yeah? So we're saying, in order to determine the price of those goods, the seller either has to weigh, either has to measure, or either has to test, or do another thing entirely different. But that thing has to be done for determining the price. Remember, in contract law, there's that rule, that element of certainty. Yeah? So you need to be certain of what you're buying and what price you're buying it. Yeah? So you can't say I'm buying 50 bags of maize, yet you don't even know at the price of which that maize is going for. Yeah? So I'm saying the seller told you that I've got 50 bags of maize, but let me just go and confirm, yeah, what type of maize I have and how much I'm going to sell each bag for. So I'm saying, according to Rule 3, even though we've made an agreement that yes, I'll buy those 50 bags, but the seller himself or herself actually has to go and weigh, measure, test, or do whatever, so that he or she determines the price first. Once he does these things and determines the price and notifies me that okay, I've measured, this is the type of maize I have, and each bag is going for so much, and I'll need this much in total. Once the buyer has been notified of that, according to Rule 3, that's when the property shall pass. So this thing is not required to put the goods in a deliverable state. The goods are probably already in a deliverable state. We're saying we're just doing this act of measuring, weighing, or testing is for purposes of determining the price, not for putting it in a deliverable state, but for determining the price first. And once you determine, you do that thing and you ascertain the price, and you communicate the same to the buyer, that's when property in the goods has passed, risk has passed, and they're effectively now the buyer's goods. Yeah? I don't know if Rule 3 is clear. Is this clear? Rule 3? Who can explain Rule 3? And once that happens, what happens then?
Then the ownership.
Yeah. So we're saying the seller has to weigh, measure, test, or do whatever act. But this weighing or this measuring or this act is being done to determine the price. So once that act has been done, the seller has weighed, he or she has measured, they've tested the product, and they've determined that this is the price. And then they've notified or communicated to the buyer that I've done the testing, I've actually confirmed that this is the type of maize or this is the type of soya that I have, and I'm selling each kg at so much, so each bag is this much, and the total that you have to pay me is this much. Once that happens, that's when, once that happens and the buyer has notice of this, that's when that property shall pass. I don't know if it's clear. Yeah? It's a straightforward rules. It's just a matter of taking time to appreciate these things we're discussing, these concepts, yeah? These ideas to say what is property, what is risk, what is ownership, what is title, what is delivery, and why we even have these rules in the first place. Yeah? We're trying to determine when this property is passed. Yeah, of course, we will still give us, or leave us with the question of, in this type of scenario, when does property pass? In this type of scenario, when does property pass? That's why we have these rules, yeah? To help us determine when property passes in all these different kinds of scenarios or circumstances, yeah? So those are the first three rules with regards to passing of property specific goods. And then we've got rule 4, and the last rule with regards to specific goods, which states that where goods are delivered to the buyer on approval or on sale or return or other similar terms, the property in the goods passes to the buyer A when he signifies his approval or acceptance to the seller or does any other act adopting the transaction, and B if he does not signify his approval or acceptance to the seller but retains the goods without giving notice of rejection, then if a time has been fixed for the return of the goods on the expiration of that time, and if no time has been fixed on the expiration of a reasonable time, yeah? So I'll take it up again. Rule 4, with regards to passing of time in specific goods, states that where goods are delivered to the buyer on approval or on sale or return or other similar terms, yeah, the property in the goods passes to the buyer A when he signifies his approval or acceptance to the seller or does any other act adopting the transaction, or B if he does not signify his approval or acceptance to the seller but retains the goods without giving notice of rejection. Then if a time has been fixed for the return of the goods on the expiration of that time, and if no time has been fixed on the expiration of a reasonable time, yeah? So this will be easier to understand. Let's say an example. So he's trying to buy a box of matches from me, yeah? A box of matches from me. So we're saying that where are those goods? Yeah, so he wants to buy a box of matches from myself. These are the specific goods. It's just one box of labeled matches that I have to sell to him, yeah? So we're saying where the goods are to be delivered to the buyer. So that box of matches has to be delivered to him, yeah? On approval, yeah? Or on sale or return. Meaning to say, he'll get the goods, but the sale will only be conducted, concluded, if he accepts or approves that, yes, this is actually the quality of matches that I wanted. Yes, I've accepted them. And then we're saying that's when the title passes, yeah? That's when property passes. But it has to be implied or expressed or noted from the start that this contract will only be concluded if he approves, yeah? Or if he accepts. So this is a scenario whereby maybe the buyer has to inspect the product first, yeah? So let's say it's a car, he has to get it for, let's say, we've agreed that take it out for a test drive for maybe 2 or 3 days, yeah? And then, if you signify your approval, that's certain type of access, meaning to say, you will take it for that test drive, and he says, okay, I've been with it for a day, this is okay, yeah, I've accepted it, or I've approved of it. At that point, when he signals his approval, when the buyer signals his approval, yeah, that's when title passes from myself to him. Of course, this being specifically for the sale of, let's say, motor vehicle, we're also looking at issues of things such as blue books, etc. But effectively, we're saying that that contract will be concluded once he signals his approval to me, yeah? Or in a scenario whereby he doesn't signal his approval, we've just agreed that you take the car for 3 days, yeah? And it's been a week since he got the car. Yeah, the time that we agreed on has expired, yeah? So obviously, he's taken it. He's taken it, even though he didn't say, I've accepted, but we agreed for 3 days, it's been a week now. You've obviously taken it, it's now your car now, yeah? Because the time we agreed on has effectively passed. So the same thing to say, let's say, you wanted a TV, Samsung TV, I've given you the Samsung TV, but you wanted to test it out for a day. It's been a week now, you haven't signaled or you haven't phoned me to say the TV is not functioning. It means you've accepted the TV. It's just a matter of you now paying me for that price, for the consideration amount or for the price of the TV. But the TV is effectively now yours to change hands because the period or the time we agreed on, yeah, for you to test that thing out has expired. So we're saying in such a scenario whereby the thing has been delivered, has already been delivered to the buyer, but the buyer is the one now who has to signal his approval. Side of us is either once that approval has been signaled, or if no approval has been signaled, but you've agreed on a specific amount of time, yeah? Once that time expires, side also passes immediately when that period expires. On top of that, let's say it's the same scenario. It's a TV. Yeah? I told you can test it out for 2 days. Within that 2-day period, you sell it. Yeah. You've said, okay, I want to test it out for 2 days. Before the 2 days is up, you sell it to somebody else. It means you've done something that's contrary to my rights. Yeah. You've essentially acted as if that TV is already yours. Yeah. So because you've done that, you've effectively bought the TV. Now I can actually claim the price from you to say, okay, so since you sold the TV, and it was yours already anyway, because you've done what you've done, now it's just a matter of now just giving me the money for the TV. That's when the time will pass. In those 3 scenarios, either if he gives his approval, in the scenario where he doesn't give his approval, if a certain time expires, if you've agreed on time, or if you haven't given any approval, you haven't agreed on any time, but if he does something contrary to your rights or your standing as an owner of that good, if he does anything contrary, if he sells it, he destroys it, or whatsoever, it means it is effectively accepted and ownership or title or property in those specific goods has effectively passed. Yeah. However, if it's clear on those 4 rules of passing of title of specific goods. Is it clear? Alright, are there any questions with regards to the lecture so far? Today's lecture so far? Any questions, comments, remarks? Was the lecture clear? Yeah. So I think we can stop there for today. We'll finish off next week by looking at the remaining rules with regards to unascertained goods. So a key takeaway from the lesson is pay attention to where the property in goods is, and not where the goods themselves are. Yeah. So always keep track or mind where properties, or where risk is, where issues of title are pertaining, or where there is just a matter of follow the rights, not the item or the object or the goods. Yeah? So that's the key takeaway here under this contract, or under this discussion or topic of sale of goods. Essentially, us just following how this bundle of rights, yeah, is moving from one party to another, and when that movement takes place, how it takes place, in what circumstances it takes place. Yeah. So that's all we're looking at here when we look at the sale of goods. We're not so much concerned with the goods, we're especially concerned with its law, we're especially concerned with the rights themselves. Where are the rights, where are the liabilities, and we're trying to follow where those are. Otherwise, if there are no questions or any other comments, I think I can have the attendance sheet and the class to be dismissed. You can have a good day. Right.